I think we're live.
Oh, we're good now. Oh, okay, Jake.
Well, it took a second.
I'm so used to hearing the intro music. What's going on, America? And welcome to Dear America live from Liberty University.
Hey.
We have a very special guest, President Jerry Falwell, Liberty University. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
I'm honored to be with you. I'm just Jerry, though.
Okay. Well, I'm going to call you Mr. Jerry. Is that all right?
Fine.
Can we do that? Can we do that? All right. Well, first, we have to talk about Liberty University, the sponsor, title sponsor of this show. Ladies and gentlemen, we love everything about Liberty. We just spent the past day touring the amazing campus here. Click the link in the bio or the caption, or go to www.liberty.edu/DearAmerica. The cool thing about our partnership with Liberty University is you click that link, your application fee is waived. Why not start now? Go finish that degree, or just start off by going to college here. Why not? We're so thankful. Click the link now. Go check out Liberty University. Mr. Jerry, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Hope you are.
Oh, I'm great. I want to talk to you. We're going to have some conversations. The world is crazy right now, and there's a lot of things. I'm just looking at Fox News right this second. Let's talk about really quick Kanye. Really quick. We got to talk. We have to talk about what's going on, because I think it's very important to. We talk about this in Christianity a lot. All right. Now, when Kanye turned his life over to Christ, I was super excited about that. I was. But we had this conversation here. We said, well, maybe he just shouldn't be up there preaching quite yet. Maybe we should, maybe we should let him mature in his new faith a little bit. And now we're seeing what's going on with Kanye, who obviously is having some. He has a history of bipolar. He's obviously having some
manic episode.
Yes,
he obviously
my licensed social work wife. There you go. Yes. Sir, from a Christian perspective, what do we need to do as Christians to support Kanye in times like this?
Full disclosure, Kanye and I know each other. He called me.
There you go.
I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a year, 8 months ago. And he said, Jerry, this was on Tuesday. He said, I want to do a church service at Liberty University on Sunday. I said, okay, how about the Vine Center? We seat 10,000 people. He said, no, that's not enough. I said, what about football stadium? I said, it seats 30,000. He said, okay, that'll work. So we talked like 4 or 5 times within a few hours. And he said, I got to check with my publicist first. I got the best publicist in the world. And he said, you know who that is? My wife spoke up. She said, Becky. She said it was, what's his wife's name?
Kim Kardashian?
Oh, Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian. See, I'm old. I don't know.
No, you're good.
But he said, she says it's too much to do. He wanted 12,000 student choir, and he wanted them to practice 12 hours between Tuesday and Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he decided, he said, okay, I'll come after the election, but I'm running for president in 2020. I said, no, you're not. You wait until 2024.
24.
I said, you wait until 24 because you can't oppose my buddy.
That's right.
And he said, okay, Jerry, I'll wait till 2024.
Well, obviously.
So what did you do when you heard he announced that he's running?
I called him.
Listen, he
had just texted me like 2 days before, and so, but he won't answer the phone. So,
Well, again, this is not me. I'm not attacking Kanye here. All right. I'm just bringing up legitimate points of the fact of this is the kind of stuff that I think that everybody needs to be aware and always a little weary of. Right. And do your research, do your planning, and give sound advice to people. I don't know what's going on. I know that Kim Kardashian just posted an Instagram story, because apparently that's what you do when your husband is obviously and very publicly having issues in front of the world. You just post an Instagram story to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rumors, unfortunately, about divorce being thrown around and all this stuff now. And anyway,
hey, I can't say anything bad about him. I'm not going to.
He's
really. For some reason, he reached out to us.
Yeah, of course.
And so it's, actually a friend of mine I went to college with, and we're spending time together. And so that's how he got my number.
Yeah. Everyone that I know that knows him has said that Kanye is a really, really solid dude, and so I think that what we need to do instead of the internet attacking Kanye right now is show Kanye the kind of love that apparently Kanye is looking for in people.
And that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, of course. I think
it's really cool that he reached out to you.
I think that's awesome
But
too.
because also in your spiritual walk, usually if you want to do something, a lot of Christians I see at least try to find ways to justify it, right? So they ask the opinion of someone knowing of what they're going to say so they can justify their actions. I think it's cool he reached out, or he's looking for
Yeah, I got a call from a
wisdom.
number I didn't recognize. I answered it.
Well, that's a miracle in and of itself. You answer
There
a
you
number you
go.
don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, especially at the point in life where you are. I mean, people probably call you all
I
the time
bet.
that you don't know who they are. All right, let's talk about something that shows the true intellectual qualities of America. Now, have you guys seen this woman in Portland that is like taking her stand against racial oppression by flashing the police sitting on the ground? And people are raving this woman
haven't.
as like
So brave.
So brave, a symbol of true hope for the country.
But my question is, do the police, do they mind? Like, is she an attractive?
Well, my question is this.
Better getting something thrown at you.
I mean, right?
LUPD right here. If I were to strip naked and just sit down in the middle of the street, I have a hard time believing that they'd be like, God bless this man for doing this for the country.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing illegal anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Exactly. That's a great point. So the dangerous precedent that we're setting, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just a naked woman. What is it really hurting anybody?
What about the little kids?
Well, yeah. What about the little kids? What about lewd and crude acts, right? Like, didn't that used to be a thing? Isn't that what we used to do? Don't we have like rules and laws in our society? But what we're teaching, especially the younger generations, is that if you get a group big enough, or if you just claim that you're doing it in protest or in solidarity with someone so-and-so, that's not illegal anymore.
Seems to me like a little bit of female privilege.
Well, don't look at me.
Oh, man.
I would never do that.
Alyssa, explain yourself at this point.
You don't know that she identifies as female.
That's true.
Bam.
Wow, Jake. Assuming.
Way to assume.
Pretty sure y'all said she first.
Well, that's true.
All right.
I was just reading the article as the article was written. But all right, so the big thing that we want to talk to you about, sir, is COVID-19. You guys obviously were at the forefront of not bending the knee to this whole outbreak thing. I know that you guys just now with the New York Times are going after them, and rightfully you should.
Can you explain for the audience who doesn't know what happened with that?
Yeah, so talk through us the
March,
process.
Middle of March was our spring break.
Okay.
And so we decided, we spent every day meeting about what we would do, because we knew some students would have to come back because they had elderly relatives at home. They had no high-speed internet, and we had taken all our classes to online. And we also had students who were international who couldn't go home.
Yeah.
So we knew a certain percentage of those 8,000 students who lived on our campus would come back. 1,200 did. We did everything by the book, take out food only, social distancing, all that. I think it's baloney.
We do too.
We'll
Go
get
ahead.
into that later. Yeah.
But anyway, we did it all right. Not one case, but they were here for a few days. They didn't talk to anybody in administration. They went to a doctor 10 miles away who had seen a few kids who had upper respiratory colds, and he explained to them that that's not COVID. COVID's lower respiratory, or whatever you call it. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but he told them to talk to the campus doctor. They didn't. They went back to New York. They went past 20 no trespassing signs that we had put up to protect our students, and they were dumb enough to take pictures and publish the pictures of the no trespassing sign. Oh. So we swore at warrants for their arrest. They had to cut a deal with the local prosecutors, stay out of jail. But then they went back to New York. They didn't call us till Sunday afternoon. Gave us, the story was already written, gave us like 2 hours to respond. They published a story at 3 o'clock. It was completely a reckless disregard for the truth. New York Times versus Sullivan requires, if you're a public figure, you have to prove that it was not just a lie, that it was reckless disregard for the truth or malicious intent.
Yeah.
And I think we got a chance of getting that case overturned, because it's not like that in the UK. The UK, a public figure doesn't have to prove that. All they have to prove is it's a lie. And to collect damages, whatever damages we win, we're giving it to COVID, to charities that support COVID victims. So we're not looking for money. We're just looking for
Truth.
The truth.
We just want to expose these people.
Yeah.
Because they've become a clickbait, BuzzFeed type operation. That's all they are.
Yep.
So, sir, and I think that's great, and you should. And the New York Times has not been nice
And
to
we got
us.
the meanest lawyer in the world.
There you
Oh,
go.
it
I
was-
always
like that.
helps.
Is he from New Jersey?
He's from New York City.
Oh, it's
but
close.
He's represented Elon Musk, Donald Trump.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Sean Hannity, and a whole bunch of others that I'm not supposed to say.
There you go. My lawyer's from Boston, and he's pretty mean
Yeah,
too.
he
But
is.
either way, so I think you should. The New York Times has not been kind to us over the years, and they deserve whatever they get, in my opinion. Walk me through the thought process of when all the other universities were just shutting it down. Nope, it's over. We're just go home. We're not doing anything. What was the thought process for you guys when you said, you know what? No, we're not going to do this. We're going to not live in fear of something that at that time nobody knew really anything about.
Hey, these kids had nowhere else to go.
Right.
And so the campus looked practically empty because 1,200 on a campus built for 8,000 to live here with 15,000 students. A lot of those live in town. So it wasn't like it was crowded or anything. So
Right.
all the academic buildings were open so they could spread out. And so we just thought, a lot of other schools did the same thing. They did have cases though. And so
Yeah.
But you're right. I didn't
but
think
it's-
about the international students. You can't just,
No.
well, sorry, no place for you to go.
Well, they could not fly.
No, the
Right, so
anywhere.
you have to
flights
stay-
weren't allowed. Yeah. So what would we do? Put them out in the street?
Well, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just we just thought it was the right thing to do. It worked, and it's funny that the one school that they attacked is the one that had 0 cases.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, doesn't that
That's
just
amazing.
Arizona State had a
But
bunch of cases.
doesn't that make sense? I mean, why wouldn't they do
Makes
that at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's true.
And so anyway.
No, but it's poetic justice.
Yeah,
Poetic
beautiful.
justice. I like that. All right. There's a lot more that we want to get into today, but before we do that, we got to get into We the People holsters. Record numbers of people are buying guns and ammunition for the first time. If you are one of them, please be safe and please holster that new handgun in a We the People holsters. Starting at just $39, We the People holsters are custom designed to fit your firearm perfectly and made right here in America. They have thousands of options like Blue Lives Matter, the Constitution, even my face.
Your face.
You can do that. Why not? Go to wethepeopleholsters.com/Graham to get yours. Every holster ships free and comes with a lifetime guarantee. Get an additional $10 off with the offer code GRAHAM. Go to wethepeopleholsters.com/Graham. That's wethepeopleholsters.com, offer code Graham. All right, so let's move on here. Let's talk about fake polls for a minute.
And how many guns have sold in the last few months?
Oh, record-shattering.
We have a big, our foundation has a big event coming up, and we're having a hard time getting bullets.
Yeah.
Because they are just sold out, which
Yeah.
is great. But
Thank you to Keltec for helping us out there
Absolutely.
for our charity event. We really appreciate that. Let's talk about fake polls for a minute. This has really been circling around. We did a video about this earlier in the week that right now, unfortunately, even Fox News, every major news outlet is reporting that Joe Biden has a 15-point national lead on President Trump.
But what they don't tell you is President Trump didn't win the popular vote.
Oh, yeah. Well,
All right.
exactly.
Then they also don't tell you that they select who they poll not by who's a likely voter. It's weighted towards Democrats.
Oh, of course.
Yep.
And so it's the same as it was in 2016.
Yep. They also put in really fine print in those articles that they only interviewed 1,000 people.
right.
And that is the national opinion of what's going on every 1,000 people. But here's what I want to talk about. We brought this up on Monday. I want to talk about how many people come to the defense of those polls. That's what's shocking to me. How many people come up and say, do you not know how polls work?
Yeah.
What do you expect them to do? Do you expect them to interview everyone? Well, I expect them to interview more than 0.0001% of the population.
Well, there's another factor, too, is a lot of people won't admit that there's Trump supporters if somebody else is listening. That's why this mail-in voting is dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
It's
yeah.
really dangerous because, people just you got somebody looking over their shoulder, and we got to make sure that we don't let that
Someone's dead cat got a registration in the mail the other day.
Yeah, so.
I wish that was a joke. It's not. All right. Someone's dead cat.
Oh no, there's all kinds of games going on.
How in the world does a cat even end up in the conversation in the first place? It's crazy. People's dead aunts have voted 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insanity. Sir, you have a close relationship with the president.
Yes.
We've been honored enough to meet the president a couple times now. I know from my personal quick conversations, I've had a couple minutes with the president. I have never one-on-one seen that New Yorker, thing that people automatically associate the president with. Every time we've met him, and we don't have anything really to offer the president. We don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to donate or add to. I mean, we're just people. And he's always been the nicest, funny guy.
Only 2 presidents in my lifetime have been that way: Jimmy Carter and Donald Trump. All the Republicans, they act like they do you a favor to speak to you.
Yeah.
All the Democrats, they're all elitist. I think Obama, Clinton, Romney, and Bush are all part of the same club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
coming out more and more.
And the way they've kept power is they've divided groups that should be allies: African Americans, whites, Jews. We should all be allies because we have more in common than we do with the country club crowd.
Yeah.
And that's Donald Trump. He's for the average American, and we got to make sure we keep electing people who came from the private. And I didn't agree with Jimmy Carter on hardly anything.
Right.
But he was from the private sector. He was successful in business, and he loved people, and he's a great man. And Donald Trump is the only other one that I can remember. I mean, Reagan was, he was really good, but he's not. He was a little more like royalty,
Oh, yeah.
But I just those 2 presidents are my favorite in my lifetime.
Well, the only presidents, the furthest back president that I remember since I've been born was, I don't remember Bush Sr. That was a little bit before I cognitively could recall things. Clinton is my first,
What an administration to grow up on.
yeah, right. Like we really grew up during the Clinton years.
Oh, Monica.
We had Jimmy Carter speak here for commencement.
Really?
Oh, that's awesome.
But one thing I've noticed with the new Democratic Party in the last few years, they seem to be choosing candidates like Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and this Mueller guy. Everybody thought he was brilliant, but when he got on the stand, he was just like Joe Biden.
Mumbling.
They choosing people that they can control.
Oh,
Exactly.
100%.
Hillary couldn't even stand up.
Who do we think Joe Biden's VP is going to be? He
It
said,
doesn't matter who his VP is. You don't know who's going to be controlling him.
oh, well, that's true.
It's these wild left-wing nuts.
Well, we believe that the real play is to get Biden in there, and then very quickly, something's going to happen
Mentally
No,
health-wise.
I think they want to keep him alive and just control him.
Just have him do whatever
Like
they
a
want.
puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're probably right at this point. George W. is one of those that has shocked me the most, I think,
Too.
when it all comes down to it.
Chose John Roberts.
Yeah, very true. But that's my point. Like obviously it was 2001, so I was in middle school when he got elected.
I was born in
time.
'62.
Well, there we go.
Just a few more years.
Just a
almost.
couple of years difference, sir. I mean, we're basically the same person now at this point. No, but I remember, the Texas governor, Texas boy, wasn't necessarily
Sweet
the
face.
favorite child. I mean, he was going to go in there and change some stuff.
Yeah.
And man, I don't really know what has happened since then.
Plays the
And-
role of the guy that you'd want to hang out with, have a beer.
Yeah,
or
have beer
something.
with. Yeah, exactly. And
But he turned out to be somebody different.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, so let's talk about the big issues that are going on right now. And while we do that, if you're watching this broadcast right now, hit the share button, because the more you share, the more people come in, the more people see what's going on. And this next part is especially important because we're talking about our liberties and our freedoms as Americans. All right. And we're talking about religious freedoms. We're talking about civil rights, everything you want. And the thing that has scared me the most during these past 3.5, I guess it's been like 4 months now, is how quickly so many Americans have just been like, whatever, just sure. Tell me what I can do. Tell me when I can go outside. Tell me when I can open the doors to my business, even though I can't feed my family.
Peaceful slavery.
Tell me that I can't go to church. And we are still there. And it seemed like for like maybe 3 weeks things might start to get back to normal, and then bam, California leading charge again. California shuts everything down, all the restaurants, all the gyms, all the churches. Even though the churches were open, they said you can't sing in church. Sir, from your personal opinion, your experience, obviously Liberty University, your times in the church, your dad, everything from a Christian perspective, what are we dealing with here?
Well, out of respect for people who are older, I've worn a mask one time. That was at Jerry Lee Lewis's house this weekend. And it's because he's 84.
Sure.
And that's the only time I've worn one.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense. I don't think anybody has an issue with that.
But I keep my distance. I do keep my distance from people more than I used to. But I think we just need to get back to regular life. I think this virus has to run its course. We have to show respect for older people. And you were talking about how down to earth Trump was. When I was sitting in Jerry Lee Lewis's living room the other day, I got the president on the phone. He talked to Jerry Lee. And
that's awesome.
And Jerry Lee said, "You're my hero, Mr. President."
Hey!
That is cool.
That is cool.
But the thing that concerns me, sir, is especially as Christians. Okay, so let's just talk from the Christian perspective, not the political perspective. Mm-hmm. We're letting people tell us how we can worship, when we can worship, where we can worship, how we can worship.
Yeah.
To me, I think that we have allowed a Trojan horse in here is what we've done.
The first few months, Walmarts and Targets were packed out.
Oh, yeah.
No
Lowe's.
Lowe's,
Yep.
Home Depot, but churches were empty.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the logic behind that?
There's not any logic.
There's no common sense to it, which is what's frustrating.
If this thing, and we've talked about this a lot, if this thing was an existential threat, and I'm not negating that there is obviously a virus, and I'm not negating that there is obviously a less than 1% of the population that has passed away due to it. But the truth, hard reality of this is those were either elderly people
that's right.
that it was going to happen at some point. How do elderly people pass away?
The flu.
The flu.
Right.
The flu, or their body finally gives out, their immune systems become compromised. I mean, that is the cycle of life to an extent, right?
Yes.
As tragic as it may be, I'm not negating that. But what I'm saying is that is the circle of life. I mean, that is how things happen. But we're using something that has a 99.998% recovery rate.
Yeah.
And we're using it to control Americans. And what's most concerning is we're using it to control Christian Americans, is what it seems to Christian conservative Americans. Because people that are, you would guess, on the Democratic side or the liberal side of things, they seem to have found the loopholes to be able to go out and do what they want.
The Constitution says we have the right to peaceful assembly. It doesn't say unless there's a virus going around.
Right.
Our Constitution.
And we've got a lawsuit ready to file against the governor if he tries to pull any crap here at Liberty this fall. If he tries to make us have 50% occupancy or no more than so many people in a room, he's got a lawsuit going to be hitting him.
I don't know if you're able to answer this or not, sir. So if you're not, just like nod or blink at me. What's it like living in the state where Ralph Northam is the governor? What's that like?
I've got a button that says my governor's an idiot.
Oh, there you go. All right. He doesn't need to blink twice.
It's Northern Virginia that elected him.
I just have no words sometimes. But between the...
See, it's really the Washington, D.C. suburbs that control Virginia politics now. And so the rest of us, it's just the rest of the state is as red as it can be. But
that's what it feels like, right?
It is.
But it feels that way in a lot of states.
Yep.
A lot
That's
of states
why I'm leading.
feel that way.
I'm leading the. Yeah, it's true. But I'm leading the movement to move a lot of counties to West Virginia. We're the only two states that have a special loophole in our constitutions that counties from Virginia can move.
Huh?
Really?
Because West Virginia split off Virginia in 1863. So the governor and I, Governor of West Virginia and I, did a press conference inviting people, and we're sending texts out to hundreds of thousands of registered voters to get it on the ballot this fall. So maybe we'll escape from Northern Virginia.
Interesting.
Well, that's interesting.
It's called Vexit.
Vexit?
Hashtag Vexit, Vexit.
Virginia
No, the
exit.
Vexit.
Okay,
That's
I like
awesome,
that.
Vexit.
All right, so let's get into another sponsor really quick. Since we're talking about Virginia, let's talk about Virginia-based Red Arrow Weapons.
Yeah.
I have to deal with Ralph Northam a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, right now is the time, if ever it has become more apparent that our Second Amendment rights are so vitally important for you and your families, it is right now. Go check out redarrowweapons.com and get you a 100% made in America right here in Virginia, believe it or not.
Right down the road, 70 miles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
70
Googled
miles
it.
down the road. We looked it up this morning. Redarrowweapons.com. Go check them out. Amazing AR rifles. The 6.5 Creedmoor is my favorite. Go to redarrowweapons.com and check them out right now. Let's talk about cancel culture for a minute. Now, I saw an article that I believe it was a real article. Lynchburg has come into play here, and I saw that you're pro that, or at least not against it, from what I read in the article. And so, how do you feel about cancel culture?
I don't know what you're talking about. But Lynchburg.
Okay, all right. Well, that's what I want to talk about.
No, but Lynchburg is surrounded by 4 counties.
Okay.
That are mainly conservative.
All right.
The city itself is liberal.
Okay.
And they charge the highest meals taxes, the highest lodging taxes. They in other words, they try to rip off people that can't vote in the city. So that's what we've had to deal with. But they also were the second wealthiest city in the country per capita in the 1800s. New Bedford, Massachusetts was first. It was a bunch of carpetbaggers that came down to the south.
Okay.
Built industries to take advantage of cheap labor because agriculture was dying in the South. And my ancestors were moving closer to the cities and going to work in the factories, and they paid starvation wages. They kept the interstate highways out. They kept the railroad out because they didn't want to have to compete for that labor pool. They wanted cheap labor. And so that group of wealthy people, they're kind of inbred now, but their descendants are.
We're from Mississippi,
Yeah, we can't talk.
so you're not going to hurt our feelings at all.
but their descendants have tried to keep control. So they fought Liberty. We built the biggest university since my father died in 2007, we've gone from zero endowment. For years, we struggled to survive. From 1971 till 2007, we built the largest unrestricted endowment that's ever been built in that short amount of time, $2 billion. We're the 16th largest unrestricted endowment in the country. We spent $1.6 billion here on campus. That's why every young person listening needs to come here.
There you go. Follow the link in the caption. That was good. That was a good.
We got
pitch there.
NCAA Division I sports. We won a bowl game last year. We got everything a young person could want. I mean, it's just a great place to
I'll
be.
plug it because I actually went to Moody Bible Institute. I'm sorry, but
You're not supposed to tell people that when we're at Liberty University.
No, because I said I don't.
No, they're great people.
No, I don't regret it, but after coming here, we had the conversation. I kind of wish I could go back.
Oh, we've already told our kids.
Gorgeous here.
Our oldest son.
It's
we got
pristine.
7,500, 8,000 acres.
It's-
all kinds of recreation. I mean, it's just kids should have no excuse to ever be
You should at
bored.
least come and tour it would be my plug because you really
100%.
can't imagine it until you get here, and
Right.
it really is really gorgeous and neat, and everyone's so kind. Anyway,
But the reason we've been so successful is because we just are different. We just don't do what other universities do. They're all indoctrination camps.
Yep.
They
100%.
politically correct. Political correctness is their religion. That's it.
Yeah.
If a conservative kid speaks up, they get ridiculed. And we don't do that. Anybody wants to say anything they want to say, they can say it.
Yeah.
And that used to be the way all colleges were.
Yeah.
And so the only reason we've been so successful is not because we're smarter than everybody else. It's just we're just operating like colleges were supposed to operate in the beginning.
Right. Okay. Well. So then, obviously, the article I saw was not true.
Oh, no, Lynchburg.
Oh, yeah.
Lynchburg.
All right, so back to Lynchburg. Yeah, that city, that name is. I'm against. I like to change it for 2 reasons. One, it sounds like people were lynched here. They never were. But it's also named after Quakers who were pacifists and wouldn't fight in the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
Like my ancestors
Got
did.
it.
There's the
God,
history.
there it is.
Like my ancestors did when they lived here back in the 1700s too. They fought in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
The Quakers were hated so much they got run out of Virginia because they wouldn't fight.
Yeah.
So it's 2 reasons. One, it's named after Quakers, and pacifists. I should say pacifists.
There you go.
And It's really not. Nobody was ever lynched. It was never a racial hotspot.
So what would your replacement idea be?
If I said it, they would never do it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. We'll talk about it after we're live then.
Okay.
All right, so but going back to cancel culture now, I've actually got a news hit after this show, and we're talking about the House is supposed to vote today, or they either have voted already, I'd have to check, about taking down the Confederate statues around D.C., around the Capitol, and things like that. I am anti doing that, and I'm going to say why, and then I'd love to go around the room. No one is negating, no sane person is negating that slavery was horrible, and that and that it is a stain on America that'll be there for forever. But it's a necessary stain, in my opinion, because it shows how far we've come as an American society.
Yeah, but it's more than that. You got to go back. Slavery existed for centuries in the old world.
Oh, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Europeans brought it here.
Still does in a lot of places.
This was not the United States when
Not at all.
slavery started. This
Right.
was a colony of Britain. Okay? So we won the Revolutionary War. Somehow a bunch of ragtag rednecks like
Rednecks,
me.
yeah.
Like me. Somehow we defeated the strongest military power in the world at the time. Wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Then it only took us 80 years to get rid of what had been centuries of slavery. 80 years. Where else in the world could that have happened?
I
point.
completely agree with that.
So I disagree as a stain. We're the ones that got rid of it.
True. Well, you're right. Bad wording. What I'm saying is the reason that people are wanting to get rid of it is because they view it now as this remembrance of this horrible time that is offending all these people, and people can't sleep at night because their great ancestors or great ancestors.
I don't even think they know half the time.
I don't
No,
even.
They just
no, they
assume,
don't.
They don't.
They don't.
Probably.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just had it's going to take us on a different rabbit hole.
Oh, okay. Well, let me. We'll come right
Okay.
back. Okay. So I am anti getting rid of things because I'm anti trying to change or eliminate history.
The fact is, Southern Democrats were wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my family.
And you said it right. Southern Democrats.
I have to brag a little bit. My family were Southern Republicans, and so my granddad's businesses. He had nightclubs, hotels in the 20s, bus lines. He had the most integrated employees of any company. in
Oh,
town.
absolutely. Yeah.
My dad grew up in the county, and blacks and whites lived right next to each other. I mean, they were his friends, and so I still do. But anyway, that's it was Southern Democrats who is the reason it took 80 years to get rid of slavery.
Yeah.
If you ever watched the movie Free State of Jones,
Yep. Sure have with
it tells
McConaughey.
it tells the whole story. The Republicans went in to vote, and when they counted the
I remember that.
a bunch of them voted.
Yeah.
and then
It said 3 of them voted or something
and
like
then
that.
they only
Yeah.
pulled out 3. I'm telling you, it was the Democrats that were responsible for Jim Crow.
Yep.
Yep.
They were the ones that opposed the Civil Rights Act.
Yep.
And I'll say that, and I don't care who makes mad.
Yeah.
Well, but again, by eliminating history, you're removing that very, very valuable piece of information.
Oh, yeah.
The Democrats. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me,
Everybody needs to be reminded that they're the reason it took us a while to get things straight.
oh,
Right.
100%. All right, where are
Well,
you
I'm
going?
just curious because there is so much, because I went to a very liberal college and it is kind of pushed down your throat. And that was 13 years ago. How does Liberty, or how are y'all fighting the fact that a lot of these kids now coming in really aren't getting real history?
Yeah, it's a problem. It really is. Fortunately, a lot of our students, not a lot, but some are homeschooled, so they do get the history.
I was homeschooled. We are
Or,
another brand.
Yeah, but we
Here it goes.
we just have to start from scratch and teach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
All right, let's get into our next sponsor. And then I want to talk to you about just resolve in general, because you and your family and this university are no strangers to criticism and hate. And I would love to, because a lot of our listeners want to know that. But before we do, let's get into ScoreMaster.com. Created by credit data scientists, the average ScoreMaster user raises their credit score by 61 points in 20 days or less. Alyssa, call this number when we're done. All right.
I'm trying to contact our child.
Not
Go
a
ahead.
couple points. One listener raised her credit score 102 points in just 11 days. Another raised their score 53 points in 17 days. ScoreMaster ScoreMaster is the new science that super boosts your credit score faster and easier than anything you've ever tried. ScoreMaster puts you in control of your credit score. This is how you add points to your credit score fast. Having your best credit score helps every area in your life. Getting a home loan, buying a car, refinancing, literally everything. If we're being honest, you should have the power, not banks. And ScoreMaster puts you in control. Enroll in minutes and see how many plus points you can add to your credit score. You'll be shocked how fast you can do it. Visit creditscore.com/Graham. That's creditscore.com.
Scoremaster.com.
What am I doing?
You said credit score.
Credit Master. Scoremaster.com/Graham.
And you said
Scoremaster.com.
Blue Lives Matter earlier.
I did say Blue Lives Matter.
Did you mean to?
Yeah, did I? Oh, yeah, I did mean to say that. Yes. Go to scoremaster.com/Graham. Scoremaster.com/Graham. We're Dear America Live. Why not mess up a read? We love you, scoremaster.com/Graham. All right. Back to, I always love it when I mess up the ad read super bad when we're live in front of the whole world.
But when you do it
You're
twice, like you read the line and mess it up, and then it's again, and you read it the wrong way twice.
The reason why is because at the end of the reads, for those of you watching who don't know, it repeats it twice. And so when I read it wrong the first time, I put it down and I'm like, oh, I got it. And then I just roll with it. Anyway, scoremaster.com/Graham.
There it is.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about resolve really quick because obviously we are Christians and we talk about faith and we talk about resolve. And also, I take a lot of heat from my conservative values a lot as well. So I get a lot of death threats, as I'm sure you and your family, unfortunately, probably do as well. One of the biggest questions we get is how do we deal with that? And how do we still continue to make the decisions that we make in a certain area? So from your perspective, obviously your family is super known across the country, the world. You have Liberty University. You are under a microscope all the time. How do you continue to stand for what you believe, not only politically, but spiritually, which they're probably both intertwined? How do you do that?
You know, it's strange, but the more liberals I tick off, I could have said something else, but the more I tick them off, the more students we get. It's crazy. It's like we're at 108,000 online adult students right now. Our previous record was 98,000 in 2014.
Wow.
And our resident population's the same as it was this time last year. So they're not scared of COVID. They're coming back.
Yeah.
And but to tell you how I deal with it, I was standing out in my yard the other night in my socks with an AR-15 because there was a vehicle parked over there, shouldn't have been there.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And so I stood. Moonlight was bright, so I stood in the shade. But if anybody had come up, I could have seen them. I was going to shoot in the air so they'd take a shot at me. Then I was going to take them out.
Hey, look, man, we've had this conversation. Mississippi's the same way.
We don't have a
1 foot on
your property.
touch the mailbox with a finger like that.
My adrenaline was flowing. It was fun.
Oh yeah,
it was fun.
Well,
no, but you got to protect yourself, and you got to.
Right.
But if you speak the truth, you won't believe. For every friend you lose, you pick up two.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. Do you think from a Christian perspective, and we've talked about this a lot, but this is your first time on the show, and hopefully we'll have you on more, unless you hate us, and then you'll never talk to us again.
You guys are great.
Wait a minute.
But except Alyssa. Everybody loves Alyssa.
He'll come on my show.
Y'all are great.
From a Christian perspective here, do you feel the same sense that I feel a lot, that we have a lot of woke Christianity has become this new trend where Christians don't want to really stand up for what we know.
All these young pastors wear these little skinny jeans, and they're scared of their own congregation. Yeah. They're scared to say anything that's controversial, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because pastors used to be the leaders. I'm not a pastor, I'm a lawyer. But they used to be considered society's leaders, and they were, I don't know how else to say it, but they were manly men. I mean, they were just tough. It was like John Wayne. But now they're not like that anymore.
Well, I always like to say Jesus didn't ever care about hurting your feelings.
Jesus called the religious elite of his day wolves in sheep's clothing, hypocrites, generation of vipers, and he ran them out of the temple with a whip.
Well,
All right, now that's the kind of pastors we need.
Well, yeah, exactly. And there's a difference between judgment, all right, and speaking what the Bible says to be true. Well, and a lot of times, and this is life.
I'm
too.
not talking about being judgmental.
Oh, of course, yeah. No.
I'm talking about being tough.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and being stand firm in what we know to be true. I say it all the time. I don't know how you can even look at a politician that is pro-choice, pro-abortion, and have anything else.
And Jesus
to say.
taught personal charity. He didn't tell Roman soldiers when they went into battle to turn the other cheek. He told us to turn the other cheek. He told us to help the poor. He didn't say vote for somebody who's going to take money from your neighbor and give it to the poor. So there's two roles. We have to be tough in government, tough in our corporations, but love others as we want to be loved.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The thing that troubles me the most is, and again, it goes back to this COVID thing. It's the biggest thing in the world going on, and Lord only knows when it's going to go away. You have pastors, and not all pastors, granted. Now there's
some good ones.
There are
still some good ones, yeah.
But unfortunately, it seems current company excluded that has such ties to the church. The people that are pastors or have ties to the church, evangelicals or evangelists or whatever, they have all these millions upon millions of people they can reach, and they're just silent on the things that aren't culturally woke.
Yeah.
And it really, really bothers me. They jumped on the bandwagon the first Sunday after George Floyd. Every single pastor had another black pastor standing there, and they were listening about everything that we've done wrong for so long, which it bothered me. That just didn't feel right to me.
Well, the the reason those cops were even employed is because of police unions. They were bad cops.
100%.
And they all they committed a crime, a terrible, brutal crime. They deserve to go to jail for the rest of their lives. And there's no way to get. I mean, that's just a fact. Mm-hmm. But it's still sad that our pastors are not what they used to be.
Well,
Why do you feel like so many aren't speaking truth?
that's a good question.
Or just staying quiet? Because they post black pictures, the blackout on black.
Yeah, the blackout
And I'm not
photo
saying they're
and
wrong.
stuff.
Like, I'm not judging them at that. But why do you think so many are really staying so quiet?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to the real men.
That's
I shouldn't
scary.
be so sexist. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
They want to keep their current congregation. They don't want to lose any.
Yeah, my dad just said
Funding.
whatever he thought, and he lost a bunch of people, but he didn't care.
Do you think that money has a lot to play into it? They don't want to lose tithes. They don't want to lose members. They don't.
What
want
they
to
don't understand,
followers.
What they don't understand is if they took a stand, they'd have more.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the leap of faith they have.
Yes, I mean, my dad ran off a lot of people, but a lot more came in.
Yeah.
Because he was speaking the truth, and he was. Anyway, it's just a matter. It's just what I said about Liberty. The more I took them off, was saying certain things. Mm-hmm. The more students. Would
And I honestly, though, I also think students are just tired because they see it and they're smart and they're Googling. They see that something's wrong, so they want to go somewhere that's actually going to be truthful and speak truth to them. And
liberal kids are allowed to speak up. We do have a lot of conservative professors, but if a kid says something that's a liberal point, they're treated with respect.
Of course,
Good.
as
You
they
go to
should be,
Harvard.
yeah.
You go to Harvard or Yale, and as a conservative,
Oh,
kid,
yeah.
you're gonna get an F.
Actually, that happened to me in my master's, and I won't shout out who, but yeah, that happened to me. Unless you go with their narrative, you ain't passing.
That's right.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been honored enough to go around to a lot of universities with Charlie Kirk and speak to these universities and stuff, and it is insane the amount of you can feel the hatred in the rooms.
And that's the
because you
other
have
thing about
opposing
liberals.
ideas.
None of them seem to be happy.
No.
They're a very depressed group.
I mean, I
Very
wake
hateful.
up every morning and make it a point to enjoy every day.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm happy as I can be. But they are all angry about something.
Everything.
What is wrong with those
Woke
people?
culture is angry at everything about something.
Yes.
And it is.
How can they possibly enjoy life? I think they're going to end up getting cancer at an early age.
Probably die of
it's just
anxiety or
not-
panic
it's-
attack.
It's not good for you.
They'll come after Liberty University eventually because they'll be like, Liberty was only available to the white people, and we haven't had
find
Liberty this
something.
entire
I
time.
think it's a self-esteem thing. Like they see themselves as like ugly people, like their character, who they are.
Well, what is
so
it?
they
What is
take
it?
out.
Hurt people, kind of thing.
I wasn't going to say this, but you can tell on the news shows.
I already know where you're going.
You can
Man,
tell by the way they look
man.
that they're liberal.
But if you circle back to the Christian, like I'm with Graham because I don't expect lost people act lost. So I'm fine. Like
Oh,
I
that's
get
true,
it.
yeah.
But what frustrates me is when the church and other people aren't speaking truth.
What we need as conservatives, as Christians, whatever, is we need to continue. We've already started to break out of it. We need to continue to get out of our grandparents' versions of Christian and conservative, which is keep your head down, go to work, mind your own business, just let the crazy people do what the crazy people do. The internet and everything has changed that to where we can't do that anymore.
And the tweet that's gotten the most retweets that I've ever put up, it says conservatives and Christians need to stop electing nice guys. They make great Christian leaders, yes, but we need street fighters in government.
It's true.
Yep.
Very true.
Trump is a street fighter.
Yo,
What did you
yeah.
just say? Like a torpedo? What do you call like a?
Warheads.
A warhead.
The Christian faith in general. You've got your pastors. You've got the bridge makers. You got everything, but you also need to have your warheads.
You got to.
Your people that go in there and just blow it up,
Molotov
man.
cocktail.
Yeah.
And the biggest compliment President Trump ever gave me, he said, Jerry, you're a warrior. He couldn't believe it when I defended him after that Access Hollywood video came out. He said, Jerry, you're a warrior. He said,
Oh yeah. But that's what we need, because this idea that as soon as you find out that people aren't perfect, now all of a sudden you have to completely eliminate them.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's
Exactly.
perfect.
Yeah.
Everybody's made mistakes, and everybody will continue to make
That's
mistakes.
exactly right.
And we just need to remember that just because we have social media now and we realize that these people that we thought were also, I thought Michael Jordan was up there with like Zeus and stuff when I was a kid. Now I realized greatest basketball player that ever lived, me and him probably wouldn't get along very much, as far as what we believe. The times are different. Everybody sees behind the veils now. We just need to realize that that's just the way it is. Sir, we've had you in here for a long time, and we really appreciate you.
I really appreciate it.
coming in
I'm
here.
honored to be with you guys, and I'm very impressed.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. And again, make sure you check out Liberty.edu/DearAmerica. Pro-military, pro-faith, pro-first responders, pro-finishing your
And if you're
education
an awesome
or starting it.
homeschooler, pro homeschool.
Yeah, we
Oh,
got
they're pro-homeschooling too?
a lot of the alumni have been listening too.
Oh, that's
Oh, that's
awesome.
cool.
That's
A lot of
awesome.
comments.
Yeah.
Oh, hi,
Comment
alumni.
below if you attended Liberty University or graduated from here. Check out Liberty.edu/DearAmerica. Sir, where can they find what you're doing if they're not already following you?
Jerry Falwell Jr. on Instagram. That's the fun one.
There we go.
I'm the nice guy on Instagram. I'm the mean guy on Twitter.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go.
What's your Twitter handle?
Jerry Falwell Jr.
Oh,
Jerry
Jerry
Falwell
Okay, that's
Jr.
easy enough.
It's a pretty specific name.
that's very
All
easy.
right, Jake, where
All
can
right,
they find
but
you?
parents, you send your kids there. I promise we'll send them back to you better than you left them with us.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's a
There you go,
promise.
Jake.
Instagram at producer_Jake.
And Alyssa.
Alyssa Allen on Instagram and Facebook. And Hey America, new episode was out, dropped yesterday.
Cool. And of course, I'm Graham Allen. You should know that because you're watching my show. And thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all again next time.
See ya.
Bye.